Let me go ahead and hit. Chad, when you can hit go live, please feel free.
All right, we're live.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the May 27th meeting of the Downtown Development Authority Board. I'd like to have the staff, Chad, if you could take the roll call, please.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair. Jacqueline Babcock.
Present from East Lansing, virtually.
Thank you. Greg Ballline.
Present virtually from East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
Kristen Clark.
Present virtually from East Lansing, Ingham County.
Jim Croom.
Present, attending virtually from Leland, Michigan, Leelanau County.
Peter Dewan.
Present, attending virtually from East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
Luke Hackney.
Present, attending virtually East Lansing, Ingham County.
Michael Kruger.
Present, attending virtually from East Lansing.
Ruben Levinson will not be with us today. Jeff Smith.
Present, attending virtually from East Lansing, Michigan.
Thank you. And Mayor Stevens.
Present, attending virtually from East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County.
Thank you. That completes the roll call.
Did I miss my chance? I might have been looking away.
I may have missed you, George. I'm sorry. George Lahanas.
Present, attending from East Lansing, Michigan, Ingham County. Thanks.
Great. Welcome, everyone. We have the agenda as presented by staff. Are there any changes to our agenda? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented and ask for a second. Second by Luke Hackney. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We have the minutes from our April 22nd meeting. Are there any changes to our minutes?
I move to approve.
It's been moved by Mayor Stevens.
Support.
Supported by Jackie Babcock to support the minutes as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The minutes are adopted. We have our April 2021 financial report. Adam, are you going to lead us through that, or Chad?
Yeah, I'll take that chair real quick if that's all right.
Great, thank you.
Folks, can everybody see the screen? All right. So here, focusing on this month's transactions, it's really business as usual for the month of April. One thing I'd like to point out, you can see here for repairs and maintenance for Evergreen properties, that's a little bit unusual. So just as a reminder, that was like the 344 Evergreen new porch and repairs that had to be completed. And then attached is your treasurer's report here with our monthly expenditures. We have about $17,182 in expenditures plus $1,600 in labor for the place project, totaling $18,777. And I'm here to answer any questions if the board has any.
Thanks, Chad. Are there any questions of staff from board members? Hearing none, we'll move on to our bond schedule. That's included in our packet. Any questions about our bond schedule? Hearing none, we'll move on to written communications. We have several this month. We have letters from 314 Evergreen, the assessment letter for 314 Evergreen Avenue, as well as a PH notice. These are contained in our packets. Members will take note. We have a letter directed from myself to Waste Management. We also have the Art Space feasibility study letter that was sent from the DDA, given our action to support the funding of the feasibility study that was sent to council. We have letters to Dave Beakey and Hughes Real Estate and Property Management Services, as well as an email from Betty Nocera, and that was directed to Jackie Babcock. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing and see if there's anyone wishing or public comment, anyone wishing to address the DDA. Do we have any callers, Chad?
Yes, Chair, there's one caller in the queue.
Okay.
Caller with the last three digits of 963. You'll be unmuted and given 5 minutes to speak. Caller 963, you have been asked to be unmuted and your 5 minutes will begin.
Welcome.
Thanks, Chad. This is Alice Dreger from East Lansing Info. I was hoping that we could get an update on the Pattaya letter and actions if you have one, because I think that's an interesting story in terms of the DDA sticking up for a business in the face of a lot of expense and trouble. And so I realize you may not have an update this time, but I'm hoping in the future we could get an update on that. And then I just wanted to tell you with regard to form-based code, I'm really happy that you're discussing this today. I had requested that you all pay attention to this. So it's really terrific that you're doing that because it would have a huge impact on the downtown. The intention of the form-based code in the Avenue Form District is to make redevelopment easier. And that's a really good intention. So when the MEDC set up incentives to enact form-based codes, the idea was to basically stop problems of the sort that we see in East Lansing where redevelopment is kind of excruciating. And the idea is to get everybody on the same page, to get everybody to a common agreement about what good redevelopment would look like, and thereby help developers understand what they're looking at in terms of expense and expectations, help the process move faster, help everybody feel like redevelopment is predictable. So in theory, it's a really good idea. In practice, I'm very nervous, and I'm nervous because of what happened in the East Village. And sometimes people say the East Village doesn't apply, but I'll tell you the East Village code that went into effect about 17 years ago has had a huge impact negative in terms of attempts to redevelop in the East Village. In fact, that code still exists, and it still makes it incredibly hard for people to do redevelopment in that area. In fact, for a while, Nancy Marr of Prime Housing Group, who owns a lot of properties in that area, she can tell you, and she told me on the record, I did a story about it, that even doing basic changes to her property in terms of doing things like improving windows and doors was incredibly difficult under the form-based code that exists there. She did finally work out with staff how to get that done, but it took years. What finally got built new at the East Village is the hub. And the hub developer's attorney had to get all sorts of parts of the code changed in order to get that project done. Whatever you think of that project, it is producing a gobsmacking amount of taxes, as you all may know, because the DDA benefits from it. But in addition to that, you know, LCC benefits from it, CATA, et cetera. When redevelopment happens, it's good for the economy. And yet it was incredibly difficult for the redevelopers of the hub to get that project done under the form-based code. So in the hopes that this form-based code will in fact spur redevelopment and be good economically, I've asked city staff to information, for example, on which properties in the downtown currently conform to the proposed form-based code, so we can have some understanding of which properties would sail through in terms of application. And I don't think there are any. So I think there are no properties that conform to the current form-based code draft. I also asked which recent projects would have gone through under the form-based code or would have required minor modification to go under the form-based code. And I haven't gotten an answer on that. And they're very busy, so I totally understand that. But my real concern is that we may accidentally end up with a far more layered thing than the MEDC intends. The MEDC clearly intends simplification under form-based code, but East Lansing, you know, it's a place where we don't want to give up control. And so the model being proposed in East Lansing is kind of a hyper-control model as we've had in the past. And my real fear is that we could end up freezing redevelopment in downtown by accident. Nobody would intend that, but if it happens, it could be really bad for us. So I'm very nervous about this. I would really like economic analyses to help us understand, is this the type of form-based code that will in fact spur economic redevelopment, or is it the type that could actually stop property owners from reinvesting in properties, stop developers from doing new developments? I think that's incredibly important. And I know the DDA is especially attentive to these issues of economic redevelopment. So I'm hoping you'll pay lots of attention to that question, hopefully help us get a study that looks at the question, is this the sort of form-based code that results in positive redevelopment, or is it the kind of thing that can accidentally create extra layers of stalling without intending it? So thanks very much, and that's my comment.
Thank you, Alice, for your call. With regard to your question about Pattaya, you will note in our agenda, we sent a letter to Waste Management. We're waiting to hear a reply back on that. And I appreciate your comments with regard to form-based code, which we will hear about today. Do we have any communications from staff?
Yes, Chair, we do. Today, well, first of all, I want to start off with our space contract has been executed. We're in the process of scheduling and facilitating a work group. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be forthcoming in very near future. As you can see, we're rolling pretty deep today on the screen. And so I wanted to make some introductions. As you're aware, you know, we've got the Downtown Management Board interns that have been with us since last fall. And then we have some new hires that are here to help us this summer as part of the Place Project team. And so to put some faces with some names and let each individual kind of talk about what they've been up to and introduce themselves, that's the purpose of them attending today. So I wanted to start with the Downtown Management Board interns. We have Gabby Vizzacaro. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yes. I was practicing all night. And then Marissa Rosen. So these are the Downtown Management Board interns. They wear many hats, as you're probably aware. They've been really focused on social media. And we're getting Gabby caught up to speed on facilitating DMB meetings, among a lot of other things like pop-up events, etc. But Gabby, go ahead and introduce yourself. Say hello.
Yeah, so as Adam mentioned, I'd been here since the fall, got hired in and, you know, started learning the ropes with DMB meetings and some other public events that have been really exciting. I also collaborate with some of the other people here on art installations or the trivia that we just did. So I'm super excited to see what this summer will bring as things start to open back up. I am officially an MSU alumni, so yeah, I'm super excited and glad to meet you all and be a part of this today.
Great, thanks, Gabby.
Welcome.
Marissa, you're up.
Hi, I'm Marissa. I'm an incoming junior at Michigan State studying communications, and I got hired here in the fall. And I've been focusing a lot of time on social media, trying to get people more engaged and coming up with new ideas. And we have a lot of like fun stuff happening with social media this summer and in the upcoming fall. So I'm very excited.
Welcome, Marissa.
Now I'm just going to bring up 1 second here. So I did attach this PowerPoint this morning to the agenda just to give some visuals. The whole team on this call was part of this chalk walk, but this was our new arts programming specialist. This was her first pop-up event that she facilitated, which we think is very successful. So I'll stop there and let Wendy Sylvester Rowan introduce herself and talk a little bit about the chalk walk and what we're up to this summer.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. It's really nice to meet all of you. Some familiar faces and some not. As Adam said, this was our first pop-up. The difference between the before and after of what's happening at Division Street Garage is pretty substantial. And it was an underutilized space. We're trying to breathe new life into it. There's a lot happening down there. We've got the art panels that you can see. There's in this picture to the left, there's children's artwork. That's kindergarten through 6th grade artwork from the East Lansing Public Schools, St. Thomas, as well as Stepping Stones Montessori, where I teach art. The next exhibit that will be going in there is going to be the AP students from the East Lansing High School. That will go in June 5th, and the pieces that are in there now will be moved down to the underground garage. We currently don't have any programming scheduled for the garage, but I'm still hopeful. You know, we could do like roller skating night, disco night, like there's a lot of cool things that we can still do with that space. And I'm crossing my fingers we're able to do it with, you know, the restrictions with taking into consideration the issues we have with gathering people. But we have a lot more fun things scheduled for this upcoming summer. Yes, there's some more pictures from the chalk walk. We got a lot of good feedback from it. I think one of the goals of some of the arts programming that we're looking at this summer is to have people in East Lansing know that in addition to the Jazz Festival, in addition to the Art Festival, which draw huge crowds and everybody marks on their calendar, that anytime when you're walking downtown on a weekend and hopefully even during the week, that you're going to stumble upon something happening, whether it be a quartet, whether it be a chalk walk, whether it be any other number of things. We have some music things lined up, other art events. But we want people to know that there are things happening, and the more we can passively make people, pardon me, know that there's things happening downtown. Hopefully they're going to come down, walk around, see these fun things, but also patronize the businesses, which is one of the goals, of course, in this whole process. So stay tuned. Can't wait to see some more things, but it's really nice to meet you all.
Welcome, Wendy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Just one thing to add. Wendy and I went out, what was that, last Friday maybe, and finished up all the curbside pickup only zones. They're bright pink. You can't miss them. So more to come on that. And so now I wanted to introduce Lou and Ella. They're also new hires that are helping us out this summer. I'll let them take the lead on introducing themselves and let them, talk a little bit about what they're going to be up to this summer. So, Lou, you want to kick it off?
Sure. I'm not on mute, am I?
No, sir.
Okay. I live in fear of hearing that phrase, "you're on mute." Anyway, my name is Lou Chavone. I'm a professor of practice at Michigan State. The courses I teach focus primarily on concept development, copywriting, and integrated campaigns. I spent my career starting out as a copywriter and going up the ladder and to become a creative director and so on, primarily in New York, but also in Michigan at Donor over in Oakland County in Southfield. And so this past semester, the city of East Lansing happened to be one of my clients. And Adam, is the kind of client everybody wants to have because, he loves creative and, everybody that I've met loves creative. It's such a great environment. So I'm happy after all these years to be summer help. It makes me very happy.
Trust me, we're very grateful.
Gratitude unnecessary. I'm having a really wonderful time doing work for a city that I love, and that's now my home. Even though I live right across the border in Lansing, I pretend that I'm from East Lansing.
Thanks, Lou.
Welcome, Lou.
Thank you.
Miss Ella.
Yes, so I'm Ella Sines. I just graduated with a major in creative advertising, and I was in Lou's integrated campaigns class last semester and the semester before for a different class, but where City of East Lansing was like one of our clients for the class. And then I got hired this spring to do creative work for the city. I've done, like I just saw on this presentation, there's like a little banner that's going to be hung. I've done some video stuff. Yes. So here's the banner. That'll be, I believe, on the crosswalk by Marriott.
Yes, it'll be on the skywalk.
Yes. And then it has a video that kind of goes along with it, kind of just a feel-good video of the city, a little montage of all the fun things that you can do downtown East Lansing that goes along with this banner. And then I've done we had Trivia on the Street, which was like a little game show that Matt was an awesome host at, and we had fun quizzing people around the streets of East Lansing. It looks like there might be the video that we can check out.
So are you guys doing that again? Is that going to happen again?
It's going to be an ongoing series this summer.
All right, I hope it does. That's especially with like outdoor seating and stuff. It would be kind of cool if like we did like a trivia. We'll cover your we'll cover your check or something if you get like 10 right or something like that.
Yes. Have you seen this video yet?
Maybe? Oh yeah, that was great.
Okay.
Has everyone seen it?
No, I really liked it. I thought it was cool, and I think things like that are. I mean, it's just giving opportunities for public spaces, public engagement. It creates an environment in a downtown that is inviting. Versus, okay, you have to walk to your location. You get to your location, you do whatever you came down there to do, and then you leave, right? Versus downtown is the place to be, and it's given because a lot of things are happening. So I really liked it. I thought it was cool.
Good, thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to introduce yourselves, talk a little bit about what we're up to. Are there any questions from the DDA?
So you didn't give Matt an opportunity to introduce himself.
Oh my gosh, Matt Apostle, the star of the trivia on the street. Matthew, so Matt think of him as a multidisciplinary intern. He has his feet in a little bit of everything. He's helping move furniture. He's the front man on Trivia of the Street. And we're going to be hashing out a data collection scheme for the Albert Avenue closure on so that we can measure, the impact of that and measure success. So Matt, take it away, my man.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Hi guys, I'm Matt. Pronouns he and his. I am going to be a senior, which is weird to say, at MSU. I'm in James Madison, majoring in social relations and policy. And yeah, like Adam said, kind of doing a big old mix of things, some infrastructure things, primarily with Heather, and then also getting a little bit of my creative side with Trivia on the Street, as well as planning a few fun events for later in the year. Yeah, but excited to be on the team. Thanks to Adam and Heather for bringing me in.
Welcome, Matt. So, Matt, by the way, there was no slight of you for the Trivia on the Street interview where no one seemed to know who Mayor Stevens was. That was certainly unintentional. And
nobody needs to know who I am. It doesn't matter.
But they know now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to welcome all of you, Gabby, Marissa, Wendy, Lou, Ella, Matt. This is a really creative force to be reckoned with. I've had the very good fortune of working with all of them, and I can tell you they make us appear a lot cooler than we really are. So thank you for all the work that you're doing. It's wonderful. It's exciting. You are creating so much synergy and excitement in our downtown. And I just want to make certain that publicly I'm acknowledging all of the creative talents and hard work you're putting into it. So thank you very much. Are there any additional comments from staff at this time?
I was just going to update about the Groovy art mural that there will be, let's see, looks like a meeting, like a review on June 14th with some of you guys.
Great. Thank you. So now we'll move on to our item 4.1, our special presentation on the Shaping the Avenue form-based code. And I presume Darcy is going to lead us with that. You're muted, Darcy.
Good afternoon. I am going to bring up a PowerPoint here real quick and walk you through what a form-based code is and where we are in the process. Can everyone see, am I sharing my screen? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, first, where is the plan and its development stage? The Shaping the Avenue was envisioned through the 2018 master plan, and it has had robust public input throughout the entire process. There have been a number of changes since the November 2020 version that you received in your packet. The Planning Commission has been working on this process through work sessions in the public for quite some time now. They're getting close to having a finished document. This will be incorporated into the document for the City Council by this fall. There will be additional focused public input scheduled once it has been introduced to City Council. We are here today to introduce you to form-based code and start a conversation with the DDA so that you are engaged throughout the process. What is the form-based code? The Michigan Zoning Enabling Act contains the basic enabling language for zoning in Michigan, and it provides the guidelines to develop a form-based code. A form-based code is a legal design regulation that describes the desirable physical form, placement, size, bulk of buildings within each district. It also addresses the size of blocks and their relationship to one another. It is always based on a community vision. All technical terms are spelled out in plain English, and graphics and images are used to convey the intent. The organization of the document makes navigating it easier, and the outcome and steps in the design making process and the development outcome are clearly defined. It fosters predictable built results and a high quality public realm by using physical form rather than separation of uses, with less focus on the land use. Features of the form-based code. The development of a form-based code is a recommendation of the master plan, as was mentioned earlier. The graphics can make dimensional requirements easier to understand and the outcome more predictable. Matching the community's expectations with the final development makes the outcome more predictable for the community and the developer. A streamlined review process has the potential to help the community reach Michigan Economic Development Corporation redevelopment ready community certification. By reaching this status, there is potential to receive funding and support from MEDC for redevelopment projects in the city. It provides architectural standards that promote high quality, sustainable development and improves the built environment. It can allow options to diversify the city's housing stock by allowing multiple housing style options within each zoning designation. It allows a wider range of land uses in the downtown. It is more pedestrian oriented and creates a vibrant downtown for all walks of life. The boundaries for the avenue start at the west side of the city at Michigan Avenue corridor as it runs into Grand River Avenue to the east side of this. It runs into the urban neighborhoods, providing a transition between the higher density uses and the lower density uses, specifically the single family residential housing. Why was the boundary chosen? During the visioning process of the master plan, the community chose this area to allow more density and to create vibrancy in the city. Goals of the form-based code: to create a predictable development review process, develop a residential district regulations that are flexible by allowing different types of housing stock within one zoning district, increase the sustainable development in the downtown and in the neighborhoods, improve the transition of housing density between the downtown and single family neighborhoods, provide more flexible land uses in the downtown. What are our next steps? Planning Commission's final recommendations to date have not been incorporated into the plan yet. It will be prior to going to City Council. This will be made available to the DDA and the public. Once the Planning Commission has made a recommendation to City Council would determine whether the plan will go forward in the form of an ordinance. If that is the case, the ordinance review process will include additional review and recommendation by the community and the boards and the commissions. We will definitely let the DDA know when that final draft is developed for City Council. With that, we thank you for the time today to present the basics of form-based code, and that concludes our presentation.
Thank you, Darcy. Are there questions of any board members with what Darcy has provided? Yes, Jeff?
Not necessarily a question, but a comment and to add on. Thank you, Darcy. I know that this has been something that the city has been working on for a couple of years, and it's not something that I think anyone takes lightly. Nor do I think it's a switch that we flip and then everything is now, on that platform. I think it's something that we start to incorporate, and we could start to see changes as we go. The caller earlier about East Village and the complications there, one of the one of the challenges with redevelopment ready initiatives is that you have to have policies and procedures in place that also align with the design and code standards. And one of the recommendations that comes from the Redevelopment Ready Communities Initiative is by right planning and zoning. And if we want to allow flexibility for the city, and if we want to allow for redevelopment to occur in a more expeditious way and more efficiently, we have to be willing to take a look at that type of approach from a policy standpoint. By right planning and zoning means that if the development adheres to all the standards from beginning to end on the zoning ordinance and the form-based code policy, that it goes to council for approval and doesn't get, hammered at every level going to it. So those are things that kind of balance as a city as we're looking at this and rolling this out, is that there's policies and procedures that go along with these plans that may have to be adjusted as we start to set our sails for it. And all of those have to align in order to create a much more efficient process. So just wanted to point that out.
Right. Points well taken. Thanks, Jeff, for offering those. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none. Go ahead, Jim.
I'm wondering, is there a city that has adopted a similar form-based code that we can be thinking about in terms of its effect and design and impact?
There are quite a few cities that have form-based codes. We've looked at like some of the big 10 cities. The complication with looking at some of those is we have a very linear downtown. We've got a very unique downtown in our neighborhoods. So we have compared and used some of the information that we found from those documents, but no two communities we found are really alike. They go from being very large plans that cover an entire city to smaller areas that are looking at incremental changes, such as the plan that we're looking at. This is, again, something that has come out of the comprehensive plan. It's taken several years, and Planning Commission has worked quite heavily on the existing plan that you have in your packet to make changes to make it easier and less complicated. But we expect there to be several more changes once we get more input from the public, once the new draft comes out.
Darcy, can you give us a timetable by which you think this will slowly evolve and be ready to be presented to the council?
We expect it to be presented by this fall. The housing study that came out, that will be considered for any changes in the plan that will go to city council. Any input that we get here and out will definitely go into the consideration by the Planning Commission. So we think it'll probably take a good part of the summer to get through that and get a final revised document with all of the edits.
And as far as the DDA's involvement, when would you like us to weigh in, and at what point would our comments be then communicated to the Planning Commission?
We're hoping to have the final document with their consideration of housing and what they've already discussed done within the next month and a half, 2 months. So we can provide that copy to the DDA, and that would be a good time to review that and provide input to the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for the presentation today.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to our business agenda. Item 5.1, termination of the property management contract at 314 Evergreen. And Adam, are you going to discuss this item?
Actually, I'll handle that here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Heather.
Yeah, good afternoon. So yes, as you know, the DDA currently has an agreement with Croom Management for the management of 314 Evergreen. The current agreement goes through August 31st, 2021. Just based on the timeline for the upcoming project, we're recommending that the property management contract now terminate July 25th, 2021. And the agreement does have the language that allows for this. So attached is a letter that would be sent, and we're just asking the board to approve it along with Richard to sign this letter.
I'll move to terminate the contract. Jim Croom.
It's been moved by Jim,
I'll second.
seconded by Mayor Stevens, to terminate the contract. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to our next item, item 5.2. Consideration of a letter of support for the green building policy prepared by the Commission on the Environment. And I know we talked about this at our last meeting. Were some of the ideas expressed by the DDA incorporated into the letter? Is that, Adam, are you going to address that item?
Which items were you specifically requesting be incorporated into the letter?
Yeah, we had talked about being supportive of a green building initiative, but that incentives would match whatever the cost incurred by the developers, or that there would be some type of scale where we would make it, we would really truly incentivize developers to pursue a practice.
Yeah, we can certainly, I'm sorry, Chair, as you stated, this was discussed at each committee meeting this month. And those comments can certainly be incorporated into the letter of support to the Commission on the Environment as input, if you'd like, if that's how you envisioned it.
Yeah, I just think if we're going to have a policy, we want to set it up for success and not failure. And so if the ability to become, silver certified or LEED certified is so cost prohibitive, then I'd like to know what the incentives are that compel developers to wish to pursue that. So
absolutely,
however that can be communicated, I think that makes sense. At the end of the day, the community benefits from having this green building practice in place, or standard in place, but the question becomes, how do we get there? So
yeah, what we can do is draft the comments for your review to make sure that it reflects exactly what the DDA would like to reflect in their input, and then have you sign it as you approve it.
Okay. Do you wish the board then to weigh in on sending this letter as discussed and revised? Is that?
Yeah, if the board is okay with that, the comment about the scaled approach and aligning incentives with the cost increase with the green building policy, and allowing staff to draft that language in the letter and having the chair sign it, I think that'd be the preferred approach. But we can certainly draft the input, the letter with the input, and then send it back to DDA, the full board, for approval if you'd like.
Are there any board members who wish to weigh in or offer thoughts?
So,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So are we motioning and approving the recommendations at this point, or are we motioning and approving the moving forward on making the recommendations?
The motion would be to approve a letter of support from the DDA with any comments and input that the DDA has in that letter of support.
So are we being asked to, if we do that, are then we being asked to send over comments that will be included in that? Or are the comments already collected at this point?
The comments would be included in the letter to the Commission on the Environment.
Okay.
Essentially saying we support the green building policy. However, here are the DDA's comments and input where we think we can improve the policy, if you will.
And I was really referencing a conversation that took place at the subcommittee level. I don't know if it was exec and finance or project and infrastructure, but we had talked about incorporating some of those thoughts into whatever letter we would draft and then submit. Are there other board members that wish to weigh in? Did you have a comment, Greg Ballline?
No, I think I brought it up at subcommittee. I guess my only concern with it was defining things a little bit more clearly as far as incentives go. I think that what are the incentives? I haven't read the draft, which I just printed, unfortunately. I just wanted to kind of nail that down, that how the support's actually going to flow through so that it's clear. How's that?
Yeah, I appreciate your remarks, Greg. Thank you. Any other board members wishing to offer your thoughts? So hearing none, how should we do this, Adam? Can we move support of a letter that will reflect the DDA's comments both at the subcommittee level and at our full DDA this morning, and then have that come back for signature?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll make that motion and ask for a second.
I'll second.
It's been seconded by Mayor Stevens. Any further discussion?
Peter, is that going to be coming back to you then before it goes to the council?
The letter would be signed by me as chair. Is that correct, Adam?
Correct.
All right, just to make sure.
Yeah. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So Adam, that letter can be drafted and then referred back for signature. We'll move on to our next item on our agenda, item 5.3. Consideration of business support funding requests in the amount of $43,000 to assist with outdoor dining and seating area expansions in the downtown. Adam.
Yes, Chair. So as we're all aware by now, we are really trying to emphasize and encourage outdoor dining, outdoor seating, and really activate every space we can along Albert Avenue and more throughout the downtown within the DDA district. And so, you know, the city council has approved the temporary outdoor seating expansion area application process, where it's approved administratively by the planning administrator. And so to help support that and align those efforts, we're thinking it'd be a good idea to help incentivize folks to actually expand their outdoor seating areas, their dining areas through this grant program, which essentially would allow dollar for dollar match up to $2,500. And this would be for infrastructure directly related to outdoor expansions, right? Stanchions, tables, lighting, umbrellas, planters, plants, everything where it's essentially aligning the business's efforts with our placemaking efforts as well, right? And so, you know, you can see the eligible expenditures here. The eligibility, we're trying to make this a streamlined, easy process. If you have an approved 2020-2021 temporary outdoor area expansion application and you don't have any past due city taxes, then essentially you're eligible for this grant. There's two ways that a business could submit this application. One being, hey, we have our approved temporary outdoor expansion application. We're not quite ready to pull the trigger on this infrastructure, so here are the cost estimates that to provide us with an idea and cost of the infrastructure they want to purchase. If that application was approved, we'd enter into a contract where the applicant would be reimbursed upon submission of actual invoices for incurred expenses. The second option is the business has already incurred those expenses and they're seeking reimbursement for that infrastructure. So they just simply attach the invoices to the application rather than the cost estimates and then enter into that contract. There's just over $43,000 remaining in a business relief program from that grant program that the DDA launched last spring in 2020. And so that's where those funds would be coming from. The idea would be to, since we're removing the subjectivity out of the application review and trying to make it objective as possible to allow staff to just approve these as they come in and they meet the eligibility requirements.
Thank you, Adam. So how quickly could this be in place? How could we expedite this program?
Well, essentially, if this is approved by the DDA today, I will work with the city attorney on the agreement to execute with the businesses, and application's already complete. Unless there's input from the DDA, we have a draft application here. Again, trying to expedite it. Yes or no questions, who you are, who can we contact, what are you requesting for reimbursement? Did you attach the required attachments, sign the application, and call it a day? So what I'm saying is, as soon as we get that agreement worked out with our city attorney, within the next week, we could launch this.
So this could be conceptually, it could be conceivably up and running next week.
Yep.
Businesses could identify their expansion plans as we approach the summer months and really try to activate people enjoying the outdoors, eating outside. This also would include businesses that are not restaurants, correct?
At the way this is set up, not necessarily, because it's based on the approval of the temporary outdoor dining area expansion. However, for businesses that are not restaurants, retail, they're able to, we're able to enter into a contract with them to share the cost. We have extra public infrastructure we could put in the public right of way. We could also create one, easily put a question in here, do you have a public right of way permit? And that could be the eligibility criteria for those that are not restaurants, to allow the other businesses to enter into, apply for these grant monies and enter into an agreement.
Well, I guess that's my point, is that we're doing a lot to try and stimulate and activate the community to come down and support restaurants in the downtown. It'd be nice to know that we have a comparable type of activity that is supporting non-restaurant businesses in the downtown. And we have sidewalk sales, we have the equivalent of open houses, if you will. I just want to make certain that any and all businesses would have the availability to make application to have a matching of the resources that we have remaining and available. If that's
absolutely, Chair. So if you see this eligibility determination, restaurants, I could simply create an eligibility determination for other businesses that would change this question number 2 here. Does the business have an approved 2020-2021 temporary application? I will change that. Does the business have a public right-of-way permit to place the infrastructure in the public right-of-way or their private property, whatever that may be, and have that be the determination, the eligibility determination for the businesses that are not restaurants.
But those are just some of my initial thoughts. I'm very supportive of trying to create this incentive, create this program, provide matching resources for businesses. I just want to make certain that it's accessible to a lot of downtown businesses, not just simply restaurants. Any other thoughts on that or comments from other board members? Jeff? I'm sorry, Jeff.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, I was just going to say, I do support that. Only because a couple years ago, a theater group had an event, for instance, at Saper Galleries, and it became a very big conversation point of what we could do inside, what we could do outside. And I just think that does create an atmosphere downtown where people will expand and do things with businesses, and I think that's important.
Thank you, Jackie. Other board member comments? Jeff, did you want to weigh in? You're muted, Jeff.
Yep, I just was going to say businesses have gone through a lot of hurdles over the last 7 to 12 months to become eligible for different things that the city's trying to support. Is there a way we could pull from an existing pool of, not necessarily making only the companies that have applied for things already eligible, but I mean, if we know that you've met certain criteria over the last 6 to 12 months, I'm trying to think of easier ways for them to qualify or participate in something like this. If it's going to be ready next week or sometime after, summer's here, and how do we kind of activate this as quickly as possible without making them fill out a whole new process or make sure that they're filling out the same form that they may have filled out before. I'm just trying to figure out how do we expedite the process of applying for not just this program, but the next 15 programs we roll out. We're going to be asking a lot of the same questions, and what can we do to make that easier?
Clearly, we don't want to make this an onerous process or cumbersome. And the whole idea is to be supportive and a partner with the businesses in the downtown. So are there ways that we can streamline this a little bit more, Adam?
I'm all ears. I feel like I have streamlined this as much as possible because they need the temporary outdoor dining area expansion anyway, right? And so if they get that approved, then that automatically qualifies them for this. But I'm all ears. If there's other ideas, I'm very open to streamlining this even further.
I think the importance is on the outreach in this situation. Like I agree with Jeff on the issue of streamlining, but at this point I think that we've got like about a 2-page application with some required other things, and this is a fairly simple process. And I think that really we're at the place where we've got, and you know what, I'll save my comments for a general comment on the thing. I know there were people ahead of me, but I do believe that in terms of streamlining, the best thing that we can do is do direct outreach to folks that might be able to actually utilize this. So whether that's knocking doors on businesses directly to talk to their management, or that's utilizing our contacts now to just let people know that this is available, I think that that's probably the best way that we could streamline.
Absolutely agree. The face-to-face, the door-to-door is going to be the most beneficial.
And then I have some general comments, Chair, whenever you get to me.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Stevens. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Just one last follow-up. I just wanted to see if there's a way to, if we know what the criteria is going in, if there's a way to kind of filter the list of downtown businesses based on that criteria. If we know already that these are the companies that would qualify, we could do direct to them and accelerate it as well, right? So if we know that it's only businesses that meet X, Y, and Z criteria, it's these 300 companies or businesses or storefronts that would qualify.
So, I just want to push back just a little bit on that, because what we're talking about here also is the qualification to actually have the outdoor space. And that's a process through the city, and that a business might not have actually gone through that process because they couldn't have been able to afford the infrastructure beforehand. What this program would do is provide that opportunity. And so what I would be worried about is just reaching out to the businesses that have already gotten those permits and say, well, there's also money eligible to reimburse expenses, when in fact, what I think this program would be great for is to utilize and help some of those businesses that didn't have the money or the infrastructure to actually put it out there. So, I mean, at that point, why go through the application process to get the approval if you don't have the money or the plans to go forward? So, I think that we need to be, cognizant of that.
It is a match too, Mayor Stevens. So if they don't have the resources to match, then likely they couldn't be an applicant.
No, what I'm talking about is the actual eligibility, is the original application to have an outdoor area, right? And I mean, a match might not be you getting all the money for it, but it's a pretty significant assist in the process. And I would argue that might make the decision, or at least turn the table for, 1 or 2 businesses in the area that might not have had that, qualification before, but might be seeking it now that this is a program.
Right. Thank you. Go ahead, Jeff.
I don't want to belabor what I was getting at it. I'm just trying to come up with a way that they haven't applied before or whatever it might be. But if we know that only restaurants, only retail of a certain type, and only X, Y, and Z qualify, we can narrow the list of applicants down very quickly. That's all I was getting at. And I'm just curious, are there any kind of companies that we don't want to have this apply to?
I can't think of any off the top of my head. Not located within downtown.
I mean, we're going to cast a full net anyway, right? So I guess the
Well-
narrowing down the pool doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I think Michael had a comment. Michael Kruger?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm just curious if you guys have already identified the businesses that are eligible for this, or who would be eligible to expand their temporary outdoor space. Because I know that a lot of the ADA requirements along the sidewalk obviously don't allow certain spots to do it and other spots to do it. And I'm assuming you've done your research at this point. So I'm just curious how many that became.
Well, yeah, it would just be the ones that are eligible at this point, the ones that have an approved application, temporary outdoor area expansion application. To the mayor's point, though, we believe that this would help incentivize those that have not applied for that expansion to actually apply. Any restaurant is able to apply for that expansion, and that includes the private property and the public right of way. There's always going to be site constraints. It's always site specific, case by case basis. But what I tell folks, if there's a will, there's a way. So we'll come out and we'll try to problem solve as much as possible. That doesn't mean we can promise every application will be approved, but we'll do our best to problem solve and help with those expansions.
So if you already know like what those, for example, the ADA requirements are for those businesses and whether or not they would be able to be approved for, that type of a site plan, is that not worth putting in the, I'm just wondering if that's worth putting in the application process or putting it out there in the first place. So that way it's not a waste of time for somebody to go through the whole
It's
process.
already included in the outdoor area expansion application process.
Right.
So if that's
Right.
approved, then they check the box here. It's a done deal. We don't need to ask the ADA questions here because it's already been asked on that other application. And in fact, as we're talking out loud, I mean, maybe we could include a section on the outdoor area expansion application with this information in it so that they're not completing two different things. Just different, this suggestion.
And that's been happening too throughout the downtown. Is every once in a while there'll be a business that'll reach out to staff too, that'll basically, say the same thing of, well, where's the ADA accessibility, where's the not, what can we do? And staff will go out there and they'll try to work out, what the best way to still have the public access to right away, but work with them even previous to. I think it's just really like getting people to incentivize to express the interest, because at that point, I think that everybody on staff understands that this is a really big priority for us as a DDA and certainly as a council, that we want to see, an expansion into the outdoors in a good way, and obviously do it in a safe and accessible way. But the goal is work with them until the very last time, right? That you've exhausted every option. So.
I think it is important to note too that we do have scarce resources. So if we were to match up to $2,500, given the pot of resources available, 43,000, we're talking about maybe, 18 businesses.
17.2.
Yeah, so there is a certain amount of responsibility on the business owner themselves to participate in the process and make application. Of course, we would like to feel like we had unlimited resources, but unfortunately we don't. And at the end of the day, we just want to make certain that those businesses that are wishing to expand, that it would be helpful to their business. They already have certain authorizations to expand. And if they intend on spending money themselves, that the city would be prepared, or the DDA would be prepared to try and help offset that expense and match it with them. So those are some additional thoughts to take into consideration. Any other comments from board members or ideas? Yes, Luke, go ahead.
Just for point of clarification, are we, so we are looking to approve businesses, the consideration of business supporting funding requests in the amount of $43,000, but then can we make a separate motion to approve this application with amendments? So it's two different motions. Does that make the most sense? That way we can.
I mean, I believe that makes sense to me. I would rely on the city attorney. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Just to move this along, then I at least continue conversation. I will make a motion first to approve the expenditure of $43,000 to assist with outdoor dining and seating area expansions as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Luke Hackney, supported by Mayor Stevens.
To be clear, that's up to 43,000, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Are there additional questions to that motion?
My only question is what would be the, how much money would be left in that fund after that 43,000 would be subtracted, or up to 43,000?
I think we are looking at maybe $100. Let me double check.
Did you say $100?
From the business relief fund, yes, sir. We are looking at $463.32. And so again, this is just coming from the business relief program that's been carried over from fiscal year 2020. There are other, projects to be determined and other pots of money. This is just what staff proposed and recommended.
So those are the resources that are available. Mayor Stevens, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah. So, and I appreciate that, Chair. I do think this is a good use of funds, and I kind of want to give a couple of reasons why. So we are in a place right now where we obviously really want to encourage, different placemaking opportunities in the downtown. And on our agenda tonight, we are going to be discussing, another funding request to beautify Albert Ave. And at the City Council earlier this week, we passed an amendment to close down that street for about a month in June. And while that's going to benefit, very, very greatly, the surrounding businesses and hopefully incentivize more people to come downtown, what we really want to see is expansion throughout the entirety of downtown. What we want to see is a placemaking opportunity everywhere. So East Lansing downtown is the place to be. And the truth is, so myself and Adam, we walked around, we were talking to a number of businesses throughout the city. And of course, there are some that, might not have enough sidewalk space or public access or even private property to expand, but there are a lot that do. And, the point of us doing things like closing down the street and others is to incentivize folks to come into the downtown. People like eating outside. They like being in this environment. I don't think there's a single table when you go into downtown on any given night that is empty. It's an hour and a half wait if you try to get a table outside in East Lansing right now. And that's a really, really great thing. But we want to expand it beyond just the businesses that are doing it right now. And so I think utilizing this fund creates an opportunity for us to see this expansion all the way down to Bailey Street, right? When we're talking about, Ann Street Plaza as a huge opportunity there for some of the surrounding businesses in that area. You're even talking about on Grand River with a sidewalk expansion, adding a couple of tables here or there. Incentivizing these types of things is great. And to talk about the opportunity is wonderful, but we can only do so much as a city. We close down one street and it'll affect certain people, and that's great. And it'll incentivize folks to come into the downtown, which will benefit everybody. But this is going to be something that we can utilize. So when staff is working with those individual businesses to talk to them about, hey, you have all of these abilities. The application process is super expedited. It doesn't need to go through council. Oh, and here, by the way, is a little bit of funding to do it as well. This is something that we're going to do that'll incentivize folks in the downtown to really think of East Lansing in the summer a little bit differently. And I think that this is something that's going to be really beneficial. And I think that once we do this one summer, we're going to see it every summer. And that's going to be a beautiful thing for the businesses in our downtown. So I'm fully supportive of this, and I hope this passes.
Thank you, Mayor Stevens. Jim Croom has his hand raised. Jim?
All right, thanks, Chair. Not going to repeat what was just said, but I'm fully supportive of this. I think because we can't foresee necessarily what some of the nuances are going to be and things we might face in the future. My suggestion would be that either the application or the agreement that's being drafted by council make it clear that the award is in the sole discretion of city staff. That just allows city staff the ability in the future, if there's an interesting or unusual request that staff might not favor, to act on that. And then I'd also point out that I think all businesses qualify. So the way this is set up, we wouldn't be picking or choosing necessarily between, let's say, businesses that clearly have the funding to do this on their own and businesses who are desperately in need of the funds. So I guess in the spirit of downtown, the way it's drafted now is, the Marriott or Jackson National, companies we normally think of as large, would be able to participate in this program. Don't know if they would. If they do, I suppose it's consistent with what our goal is, in that we want to make downtown a welcoming place. But I would just point those two items out for discussion.
Great, thank you, Jim. Are there additional comments? Well, since we have a motion that's been offered and supported, let's address that motion unless there's anyone else that wishes to comment on the motion itself. So hearing none, the motion is to approve the expenditure up to $43,000 of what we have in our business relief fund for purposes of assisting businesses with outdoor expansion, as identified by staff in their proposal. All those in favor, why don't we do a roll call vote if we could? Chad, can you take a roll call on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks.
Jackie Babcock,
I support.
Greg Ballline,
Aye, I support.
Kristen Clark,
I support.
Jim Croom,
Yes.
Peter Dewan,
Yes.
Luke Hackney,
Yes.
Michael Kruger,
Yes.
George Lahanas,
Yes.
Jeff Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Stevens.
Yes.
Passes 10-0.
Great, thank you. Now, I'm going to go back to Luke, who had, I believe, a subsequent motion you'd like to make.
Yes, I will make a motion to approve the draft for the outdoor dining area expansion grant with the amendment of section 1, item A, to include all businesses under eligibility determination and not just restaurants.
Second.
It's been moved by Luke, supported by the mayor, to amend the definition of eligible businesses. Any further discussion?
I think that's a great addition.
If we could also take a roll call vote on this vote as well, Chad?
Okay, Jackie Babcock,
Yes, I support.
Greg Ballline,
Yes.
Kristen Clark,
Yes.
Jim Croom,
Yes.
Peter Dewan,
Yes.
Luke Hackney,
Yes.
Michael Kruger,
Yes.
George Lahanas,
Yes.
Jeff Smith.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Stevens.
Yes.
Again, passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you for the discussion, everyone. Let's move on to item 6.1 on our unfinished business agenda, which is the 500 block pedestrian alley banners.
Yep, Heather's up on this one.
Thanks, Heather.
So this is just a follow-up from last month. I brought you a quote from Consort about replacing those banners. It's a total of 7 banners on 5 light posts. At the time, the replacement, we were just going to do an exact replacement. And this was based on the design as part of a placemaking project that we did in 2016, which actually reflected the banners that from years ago that used to be part of the art festival, the City of East Lansing Art Festival. So we had taken that theme and used it in this area for the placemaking project. So that's the history behind those banners. But the board had requested that we look at the option of doing the daytime, nighttime, anytime. And so I did reach out to Consort, and they provided a quote if we want to do those banners in the amount of $244.15. So you have 2 choices here. You can, do what's up there now, or what was up there, which is, well, here's the version of the new banner. And this would be the daytime, nighttime, anytime banners that we're talking about. Those are currently on Ann Street Plaza. And then if you could go to the others. So this was the original banner. And again, this was based on the theme from the art festivals from years ago as part of the City of the Arts. And that's the theme that we used when we did that original placemaking project. So, and these are located in the 500 block pedestrian alley.
Thanks, Heather. Are there questions of staff?
Yeah, Heather, I didn't quite catch that. What would be the price difference on the new banners then?
So if we go with the daytime, nighttime, anytime is $244.15. And if we go with the original design, it is $317.15.
So it's cheaper.
Yeah, there's one other thing I did want to add is that if you go down to the pedestrian alley, you can definitely see the theme of these colors. We came up with this design based on, again, the art festival banners from years ago that used to be displayed, and we incorporate into that placemaking project. And so within that pedestrian alley, you notice that the benches are the pinks and the greens and all of that, and the tables. So I just wanted to put that out there that this wasn't something like a banner we just picked. There was a reason behind it, and then there was a theme as part of those banners. It was placed throughout the amenities in that pedestrian alley also.
Thanks, Heather. Any additional comments? I kind of like the banner that has all those colors in it. It's very, yeah, that one, the one that you have pulled up now. It's bright. It's draws your attention to it. It may not be consistent with the daytime, nighttime, anytime logo and theme, which has really been really utilized the last several months in the downtown, but I know we had the conversation about trying to be consistent, and to the extent that we can be consistent, I think that's helpful. But if I was given the choice between the two banners, I actually prefer the one that's more colorful.
Yeah, let's add some color. I like it.
Yeah, and to be clear, I was not necessarily, maybe I should have been more clear at the last meeting. I was not necessarily suggesting the colors were the issue, but specifically dine, shop, and enjoy versus something that we paid several $1,000s for a marketing team to come up with, which was daytime, nighttime, anytime. And anytime we can have those specific phrases kind of echoed, it only enhances the brand. But I am all in favor. I mean, I'm good with whatever. I was just suggesting that we should at least consider being consistent with our official logo that we paid for and with our official slogan, not necessarily color schemes.
Heather?
So what I can do if the board's comfortable with this is I can go back and have them make a new mock-up, and it would be these colors, but we can use the daytime, nighttime, anytime logo on these. And so it's a cross of the two together. And if the board just wants to make a motion to authorize up to $400 for those banner replacements, I'm sure that would cover it. And then we would have the history and the reasoning why these colors are, in that alley, but then we would have the new logo, as Luke pointed out.
I think that's an excellent compromise.
That's great. So we'll go ahead and make that motion.
Again,
I'll offer that motion to update the color of the banners with the present theme and ask for a second.
Second.
It's been seconded by Mayor
Third.
Stevens. Any further discussion? And we want to make certain that we still have some cred with all the creatives that are part of this call, that we're all about the art and the color. So any further conversation?
Very quickly, I just want to point out, Luke is absolutely right. If you're going to talk to anybody in the branding industry, if you're going to pay to have the brand rolled out, you echo that brand as often as possible.
Right. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. And thank you for the discussion and for the solution, Heather. Let's move on to item 6.2, approve a $20,000 funding request to beautify the Albert Avenue lane closure project area and provide summer programming in that area. Adam. You're muted, Adam.
Thanks,
you go.
Chair. All right, let me zoom out. So I believe it was April 22nd when I tried to coin the term Pedlet pilot project here in East Lansing. The board, as you're aware approved that concept. Since then, we have continued to solicit stakeholder input. And based on that input, staff felt the best approach forward actually was to close both lanes on Albert Avenue. This is going to have the most significant impact socially, environmentally, and economically in staff's opinion. And so with that being said, council approved the 2-lane closure on Tuesday night of this week. And here's a conceptual design of that closure itself. Like last year, as far as the barricade placement and the road closure placement, just like last year, not like last year, no alcohol consumption within this area, unless it's in an approved outdoor dining area operated and managed by the business itself. What you're seeing here, this green zone is basically our free-for-all for placemaking installations. On both sides, the red zone, we're going to leave clear for pedestrians and emergency access for emergency vehicles. Again, the barricades would go just east of the entrance of the parking garage along Albert, west of the alley between Blue Owl and Spartan Spirits, and then just north of Albert Avenue at Grove Street, that intersection. And so that's the road closure, the concept. Now we've been working like crazy to come up with a design, right? That's as far as like, what exactly are we going to install? What it's going to look like? How do we provide shade to visitors in this place? You know, provide those amenities. And so I think it was around 6 or 7 p.m. last night where it all kind of came together. And so the latest design concept is in the green areas. We have, I don't know, approximately 30 barricades down there right now. They're bright orange, just like everyone did not want to see, right? So the concept is we want to attach poles, whether they're light poles or poles to hang shade sails on to the barricades themselves, right? So stay with me, because those barricades aren't going anywhere. The original idea was in the whiskey barrels. Then we thought that through a little more, and we're like, you know, some people have enormous strength at 2 a.m. and may be able to knock one of those over, and the whole thing comes down. Those barricades aren't moving. So imagine a pole attached to the barricades with a cedar box cover over the barricades. So now we have a multifunctional barricade that's going to provide safety to the pedestrians. It's going to act as a light pole holder, if you will, and bench seating. So then we have the seating there as well. And stop sharing my screen for a second. Can you see this snake design in black? This would go in the south lane in those green areas, and that would be the barricade seating, and we'd attach light poles or poles as needed, where needed. And in these spaces, we'd actually have different kind of placemaking installations going on, whether it's grass turf, it's hopscotch, different kind of seating, you know, lounge chairs. But think we want to put shade sails over those because it gets hot there, it gets sunny, and nobody wants to hang out when they're just sweating in 90-degree weather. So we want to make it as comfortable as possible. And so that all kind of came together last night around 7 p.m. That's why I just drew this for you to see, because there wasn't much time to bring it all together. So with that being said, we're still defining cost. I strongly believe the cost will not, for infrastructure itself, won't come close to $20,000. I'm hopeful we'll be around the $10,000 range for stuff that we can use again in the future. But if we want to do this and we want to do this right and we want to have an impact, we got to go heavy on the programming. It's not enough to just, not number one, close the road with nothing. It's not enough to close the road and just put some seating there and some shade, but we need to do stuff that's going to draw people. And so we're in the process of brainstorming, the Place Project team that you met today. What can we do? And we're looking at musicians, different kind of street performers, engaging activities that people can actually participate in when they come down. It's all still being hashed out. And so that's what the money would help cover. That's what the $20,000 would help cover. As you know, this is a pilot project for 30 days. You met Matt Apostle. Thank you, Peter, for reminding me to introduce Matt. Matt, my sincere apologies. He and I, we're going to get together and hash out this data collection plan to collect data as we go to kind of evaluate where we're at, what kind of impact we're having. Is this successful? Should we keep going? And so I say that because if the $20,000 is approved, we're not going to expend all that in the month of June. And so if the pilot project ended at the end of June, we're done. If it doesn't, that money would help carry us forward to the rest of the summer so that we don't have to come back and request additional funding. So with all that being said, I want to also get in, well, first, do we have any questions about the design, the concepts that I've identified so far?
I have a question, Peter.
Go ahead, Luke.
Adam, yeah, can you explain the differences between what we saw last year and this year in terms of the alcohol consumption, like, and where it would be and not be, and what it was like last year versus what you do?
So last year, let me bring up the site plan. Last year, we installed picnic tables in the South Lane on Albert, all the way down. And essentially, you could get a to-go drink from an adjacent business and come and consume alcohol there. This year, we're not going to allow it there unless a business has expanded their outdoor dining into the area in some way, shape, or form. The difference is the city won't be managing and overseeing the alcohol consumption. The individual businesses would themselves. That is the difference with the alcohol consumption. Does that make sense, Luke? Did I answer that question?
And that would all have to be like roped in with stanchions and, in compliance with NLCC rules and regulations as well. So.
Absolutely, Mike. Yes, sir. And so I had like Fieldhouse reach out to me. Well, can we expand? And I'm like, there's nothing preventing you from applying for that temporary expansion to go even further into the public right of way. Again, site constraints, case by case, can't say that everything's going to be approved, but that's what that expansion application is there for. And so I say that because it's not just focused on Jolly Pumpkin and Barrio here. It can be the adjacent businesses as well.
Thanks, Adam. Jackie.
So I just have a question about, I heard music. I just want to remind people that this is Albert and that there are people living here. So I don't know what you're thinking about hours or what kind of music, but I'm just urging a little bit of caution in that respect, maybe.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. The music that we're considering right now would be it, and again, it's still being hashed out, so don't quote me on this, but 6 to 8, 5:30 to 7:30, just a couple hours in the late evening when people are getting off work and they can come sit outside and enjoy some live music. Nothing going until 10 p.m., 11 p.m. or midnight, nothing like that.
Well, the city may not intend for that to happen, but the bars and restaurants down there will have that option to do that themselves if they're going to be expanding their outdoor seating capacity, correct?
Well, they would definitely need permissions to have a musician. So, yeah, they can't just put live music out there without permission from the city.
George?
They're also not supposed to have music that extends off and makes sound off their patios. I know that's an issue, and sometimes it goes too late and they have the speakers out facing, which really beyond 10 or 11, they should be turning those off absolutely. So we have to make sure we're doing enforcement on that, because it is very disruptive to the downtown at 11 o'clock at night to have speakers pushed out into the street that are making a lot of noise. So that shouldn't be happening anyway, but there won't be an expansion of that with this.
Thank you, George. Any additional comments? Go ahead, George.
Just to say, I'm greatly supportive of this. I think that closing the whole street is the way to go. I think it's going to create a lot of excitement. I've been downtown all week on weekends walking in the evening, and there already is a lot of excitement. And I think this is just going to make it better for pedestrians, a better pedestrian experience, and it's going to create a better atmosphere, safer, and a lot more engaging. So all the specifics of how you make the place making happen in the middle, I think is exciting, and here, looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. But overall, I think it's a great project and looking forward to supporting it.
Thank you, George. I just like to throw in my 2 cents, and I know I've shared this at multiple meetings previously, but as a community, when we went through the design of the Center City project, initially it was designed and conceived that was going to be a pedestrian-friendly street. It would be a Wooner, if you would. And to me, it makes perfect sense. I look at this as an asset to the city, as a location for people to congregate, to have a community gathering space, to make it interesting and exciting for people to wish to come downtown. And I'm thrilled by the actions of the council on Tuesday night. I think hopefully what we will see is we will have a piloted program that people will not want to go back to having it trafficked as it is. I know if you're downtown now and eating outdoors, it's disruptive because you hear cars going by, they're revving their engines, they're squealing their tires. It's not safe for people to traverse across Albert Avenue. And it really should be geared towards pedestrian traffic. That's what I think makes sense. I know there are a number of people that have weighed in on this over time. I give a shout out to Gabby, who's on the call with us today. She had a very great idea that was offered to both the Planning Commission and the DDA and City Council at previous meetings about shutting down the street, with the exception of making certain that we take care of life safety issues and deliveries. And so Gabby, congratulations and thank you for your ideas. But this is really the direction I think we need to be moving in, and it will be certainly beneficial to the downtown. So any other comments or thoughts? Yes, Michael?
I think it's a great idea. I love it. I think that there's going to be the unintended consequences of the stuff that Jackie is and the residents of the Neiman Office are probably worried about. Because it's going to create that atmosphere down there. Once the bars get out, this is going to be a big kind of gathering place for everybody, and the voices carry in that area. Bad enough already, not to mention the battling of music on the patios, which is bound to happen regardless of the noise ordinance being in place. And though I would also like to encourage us to make sure that all of those restaurants and businesses around there are aware of what the noise ordinance is and how it's going to be enforced before that kind of stuff gets out of hand. So I think it's a good idea. I love it. I just think that we need to make sure that there's going to be special attention paid to the concerns of the residents that are going to be down there.
Thank you, Michael. Any additional comments? Adam, I like what you've proposed. I still would like to see the city make it a routine practice of hanging plantings from lampposts. That does a world of good as far as changing the landscape and beautifying the downtown. And I just think that we should do that routinely. As far as beautification efforts in the downtown, I like the idea of providing the shade and what you've talked about as far as trying to isolate off the areas with barrels, if those can be dressed up somehow. I don't know. I liked your little design, but it was kind of hard to follow. But I think you should be certainly complimented in all the efforts that you're doing to really assist in beautifying the downtown with these types of programs. Other comments or thoughts? Mayor Stevens.
Yeah, I just wanted to note again, kind of in my earlier comments, we should just be a little bit, I I think we should be really optimistic and a little bit proud of the direction that we're heading in terms of our downtown. I think that there obviously are people in our community that have consistently supported the businesses, whether it is the summer months or in the fall and the winter. But there's also a lot of people that have lost faith, I think, in coming downtown. And they've seen it as whether it's just student bars or it's just for the restaurants. It's not, for the retail. I'm starting to see a shift, and that's what we wanted to do last year. That was the vision for it. And to Chair Dewan's point, when you talk about what Newman Lofts was going to bring and what the development is going to bring, you bring people that live in the downtown, that work in the downtown, and you start to see a more vibrant environment. What we're doing this year, I hope will continue for years to come. And I hope that this is a page turner for East Lansing and for our downtown, that this is the spot to be. And I'm just proud of the work that we've done. And I'm excited to see what the summer's like, because I think it's going to be really great for East Lansing.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Stevens. Hearing no additional comments, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the funding request as presented by staff.
Second.
It's been seconded by Mayor Stevens. Adam, did you wish to add something additional?
I did, Chair. So Luke, correct me if I'm wrong, you did say that you're seeing the signage on the packet?
I thought I did earlier, yeah.
Yeah, so this morning at 9:57 a.m., I uploaded some signage examples that I would love the DDA's input on. These were designed by Ella, who's on the call, and we would love to hear the DDA's input. This signage is specific to branding the area and the businesses in the area. The signage is a big concern. And so if I'm able to pull that up, I would like DDA's weigh in on that.
Please do.
Also, Adam, I have a few updated ones with that are a little bit better looking, but
okay.
Either way.
Will they get the concept from this, where we're going with this?
They'll get the concept, though the other ones look better than this.
Okay, so we're trying to identify a color that stands out from your normal street signage and every other sign downtown, right? The original, right now, the concept is to brand this Albert L fresco. So East Lansing fresco, right? But really, so we want to put signage at the strategic places, and we want to call out some of the businesses that may be directly impacted from that closure. Think Woven Arts, Seams, and 7-Eleven and Hot Cat. And so this is just, these are a few examples, some design concepts we're coming up with, and we would love to hear from the DDA. And Ella, please add anything if I missed anything.
You got it. Basically, the only other thing I wanted to mention, I did change up the font a little bit for the type of Albert al fresco, made it a little fancier. And then also, I know in an email chain, it was mentioned to make sure that the type is big enough so that drivers, these would be directional signs, so that if drivers are trying to get to Seams, that they know to turn on Linden before they hit Albert. So to make the type on the signs big enough. So that is something, I have a version where the type is a little bit bigger if that's a problem.
So help me understand, Ella, as far as this signage, where are we thinking this is going to appear?
So we were thinking, as of right now, we want to let people know that businesses are still open on Albert, even though the road is closed down, and here's where you can park or how you can get to these businesses. So we want to put one on the corner of Linden and Abbott by City Hall, and then another one on the corner of Abbott and Albert, and then potentially one Abbott and Grand River. Basically just letting people know the parking garage, the new Albert parking garage is open, as is the Grove Street garage, if you're trying to get to these businesses, but that the businesses are still open.
And so are we really only talking about a total of 3 signs?
As of now, No.
I don't think so. Yeah, no. So there'd be multiple signs in each location. Is that correct, Ella?
Oh, like, so no matter which way down the road you're coming, you'd see them. I was wondering that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there'd be multiple signs in each location. This is just the start. We're just kind of getting our feet wet to understand, is this going to work? How can we improve it until we go all in on signage?
So just a thought, since we've already had a discussion about the color scheme of banners and incorporating the daytime, nighttime, anytime, does it make sense to go along with the same color scheme on the signs that you're referencing? And again, it's not like I have an opinion one way or the other. I'm just looking for suggestions or ideas.
Yeah, Ella, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we were going for that the first round, and then we're like, does that blend in too much with the other green signage, street signs that are up there? Not sure, but yeah, I don't think I'll know at least until it's up.
Yeah, I was like thinking at first, do we want it to be cohesive with the same colors, that same teal color of the daytime, nighttime, anytime logo? And I can always pop the logo on there too. But then we thought maybe that won't stand out enough. People won't recognize it. But either way.
Let me just make an observation here. I'm okay with deferring to and not impeding the creative expression of the design team. And so if the DDA does not have a strong opinion one way or the other with regard to the color scheme of these signs, other than the fact that we are going to need signs to help people know where to go, I'm okay with leaving that at the discretion of city staff, provided there's no strong opinion from other DDA members. Is everyone in agreement with that?
Agreed. I guess I would just like to see it. We just picked one banner over a different banner. I think it should at least complement that set of decisions.
Is that too terribly difficult to arrive at, Ella and Adam, to make it consistent with the color pattern and scheme that we've already somewhat identified?
On the 500 block today? That one?
Yes.
Okay. I'll let Ella speak to that. I'm sure it's not, but.
Yeah, I guess if we were going to use those same colors, I'd want just access to either a little screenshot so I can color pick those colors or the hex codes for them. I don't know. My favorite look is kind of the tie-dye look. I don't know what people feel about it, but I kind of like the tie-dye. So maybe I could make a tie-dye look with those same colors. Or of course we could do just the solid colors.
In the spirit of creativity, I wore my pink shirt today. So Ella, you can have full liberty and creative expression, provided it matches the color scheme that we've identified.
Sounds good.
If you want to do a tie-dye, I'm sure there's not going to be any resistance. Jeff.
I would just keep in mind accessibility standards is all, so that the contrast on the sign is easy to read for those that might need it.
Yeah, I do want to look into, and I'm not sure if anyone's aware on the call, the white font versus black font. Is that, Jeff, is that what you're alluding to? Okay.
Well, just there's standards for contrast.
Yeah.
That there are accessibility standards for contrast, and that's all I'm recommending.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm sure you'll make good decisions. You have my full confidence in coming up with the right look.
I would second what Jeff said and add that I'm pretty sure that whatever colors we decide on, the chair of the DDA is required to wear at all times when we're in the downtown.
You're going to wear lots of tie-dyes.
There we go. Yes, Jackie.
I was just going to say, I would stay away from yellow. That sort of says construction. And so I like the idea of keeping...
No orange or yellow.
Yeah, the orange and the yellow. No, I like the idea of tie-dye, actually. Those are the ones that stuck out for me. But I think keeping with a consistent color scheme throughout the city is good, and no orange.
We are going to extraordinary lengths to define ourselves as the city of the arts. So, we can have a full color palette available to us.
More, Peter, more.
So
more arts.
All right. Well, we do have a motion that's been moved and seconded to support the expenditure of $20,000 As long as there's no additional staff comments, let's go ahead with that motion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Any opposed?
This is an
Great.
opposition. This is up to $20,000. Is that correct?
Up to 20,000.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure everybody's clear about that. But
Yes, thank you, Luke. All right, then. That's been moved and supported and passed unanimously. We'll go on to committee reports. Exec and Finance Committee, much of what we discussed today was addressed at that meeting, so I won't go into a summary. There is a summary in your packet. Luke, Hackney, Public Policy and Market Development.
we did cover everything today.
Thank you. Same with Project and Infrastructure. A lot of the items addressed during that meeting were covered during our meeting today, and there is a summary in our packets. Jim Croom, any report from the Downtown Management Board? You're muted, Jim.
There was no meeting, Chair.
Okay, great. Thank you. Parking Task Force, Luke?
There was no meeting, but we are meeting this summer. So probably the next time I see you.
Great. Thank you. Any announcements? Yes,
Sorry, can I make a note about something that we talked about on the budget that kind of relates to the parking task force?
please do, Mayor Stevens.
I wanted to highlight something that staff did that I think is really, really great. They instituted a new type of permit that is, and one of the things that I've kind of always really wanted to see is like a worker's permit in downtown for folks that are like, working on a wage that really can't, afford to take that extra income out with our permits being, the price that they are right now. And as we want, again, people to live, work, and play in the downtown, it begets us to actually try and create an environment that we can do that. And, I had mentioned that at an earlier budget work session. And while I don't think that this fully accomplishes the problem, one thing that staff brought up, and I don't know really who it was on staff, so I'm unfortunately I can't say names, but they instituted what would have been a 50% buy permit, where basically you can buy $100 worth of parking for $50 in East Lansing. And that way somebody who might be on like a wage and they might not be downtown enough or need to park downtown enough to warrant paying $90 to $100 a month for a parking permit could actually get their parking, half off in the area, or people that come downtown very regularly could buy this and have their parking, cost cut in half. I just wanted to mention that as you're going into the parking task force, is that thinking of unique ways to make sure that parking is more accessible, and that fear in your mind of using those lots and paying, the $5 for parking goes away. I think that was a really great step. So I just wanted to note that for the DDA, that is something that's implemented now, and I'm really, really happy with it.
Yeah, and even going further than that, I think that we should maybe on the DMB level or something, try to encourage businesses to still buy those for their employees. They're essentially, they can buy these temporary passes, give them to their employees. The employees can use them until they run out, then they get more.
Right.
Like the mayor said, it really, I'm a great example where there's been periods of times where we've had parking passes that were like over $100 a month because it was in the new lot, and these people were working like 15 hours a week, and I would much rather spend $100 and have that carry for 2 to 3 months.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just, we're at a place where there's a lot of people working in the downtown. You want those people to be able to work and drive down there. So this is great. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Stevens, and thank you, Luke. Any additional comments from board members?
One last one.
Yes, Jeff?
Or maybe not the last one, but last one for me. The art space letter, I just wanted to circle back very quickly. We approved the contribution. If there's any way to add any teeth to the feasibility study, I don't know if everything's been inked and everything's moving forward, but having done feasibility studies in the past, they may discover that the most feasible location for this facility is actually in Lansing Township or Lansing. I just want to make sure that the art space feasibility study focuses on a very targeted area for that feasibility. So maybe it's a study boundary or whatever ends up being, that we're really targeting where that is going to end up locating.
So I'd like to speak to that. The contract is between the city of East Lansing and ArtSpace. So there's not a fear should a project come to fruition that it's going to be outside of the city. There's been a heavy emphasis placed on looking at downtown East Lansing, but we recognize we are a large community and they may find something that works elsewhere. You know, perhaps hypothetically at the Hannah Center, which is outside of the DDA district. So there shouldn't be any fear that something would materialize that would not be in the city of East Lansing. There is a core group that has been established. The way that this will work, the core group will help facilitate getting the right people, virtually the entire population and virtually all demographics at the table to voice their opinions on the viability, the support, the locations, the needs and the demands of what we're seeking with regard to a proposed artist development and then subsequent programming with that development. The core group will help drive that conversation into focus groups. And so I anticipate this process going over the course of the next 2 to 3, 4 months. And then reports will be given back to both the City Council, to the DDA, to the Art Commission, to the Planning Commission, as far as the findings from the feasibility study. So it's going to be a rather exhaustive approach. I think everyone will be quite pleased with what they see happening. And there will certainly be more to report as this moves forward. So any other comments from board members? Or yes, Luke.
Two quick ones if I could. First one, Adam, is tomorrow not Amy's last day here in the city of East Lansing?
Yeah, good call, Luke. Tomorrow is Amy Schuessler-Schmidt's last day with the city of East Lansing. She took an opportunity with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation in their CDBG program. So she's, going to be very missed and some big shoes to fill. We do have the posting. It is posted, but she will be missed. It's absolutely for sure.
I was not aware of Amy accepting that job, but clearly on behalf of the DDA, she has been an invaluable resource and strong supporter of a lot of the initiatives the DDA has undertaken over the last several years. She's been a constant go-to person, and I've been around for a while, from the zoning board to the planning commission to the DDA. She's always been someone that has been invaluable. So please express our best wishes to her, and hopefully we will see her in downtown East Lansing in the future.
Will do, Chair.
Any other board member comments?
Just want to say congrats to Mayor Stevens on getting engaged.
Thank you.
What?
I appreciate that.
Congratulations, Aaron.
East Lansing has given me a great many things that I am very, very thankful for, and Katura is absolutely on the top of that list. So
Congratulations, Mayor Stevens.
thanks.
Luke, you have your ear really close to the ground, apparently.
I think everybody knows I do. Thank you.
Any other comments? Again, thank you for Ella and Gabby and Lou and Matt and Wendy for participating in the meeting today. And Marissa, we all look forward to your continual involvement and helping us as we try to make our downtown an exciting place. So thank you for your work. With that said, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Peter, I think Adam had one more.
Oh, Adam?
I know it's been a long meeting, but Peter, you had, our chair, you had mentioned, recognize, hey, thank you, Adam, for all the hard work and, helping move East Lansing forward with all this placemaking initiative. I just want to recognize the very deep bench I have behind me. It's very much a team effort. I also want to recognize, and I hope he doesn't blush, Mr. Tom Fehrenbach. He's been a very supportive manager. If you could imagine having a new hire come in during the middle of a pandemic and 3 months later come to you and say, I want to have a market in an underground parking garage. I imagine if I was in Tom's position, I would have been a little concerned, but he was supportive the entire time, and he's been supportive in everything we're doing. So thank you, team, and thank you, Tom.
Fantastic. I appreciate your comments and certainly extend credit to Tom and to all the many people that work on behalf of the city to really help us do great things. So move to adjourn the meeting and ask for a second. It's been seconded by Luke. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
See everybody downtown.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, guys.